like to, I can't help myself but say a couple of things. I'm sure it's been a long time. I promise not to hold you long. But there are a couple of things that we must understand. And I think it's important for us to understand this context. And for this context, I would like to leave a couple of things with you. Where the future is going, there are two words. And these two words, I think every individual in this room must understand and must reflect. One is nanotechnology. The other one is superconductivity. Believe me, friends, the day is not far when you see these technologies come to the fore. It will change everything. If you thought there was change, and if you thought IT changed anything in the last 10, 15, 20 years, you haven't seen anything. That's one bit. The second bit, if you really look back and you see the way India has progressed in the last few years, and a classic example I would like to say here is the nano. I mean, not nano as a nanotechnology, but nano from Tata. It has, apart from the fact that it is disruptive engineering to its best, there are a couple of other things that we must understand. One, engineering comes to the fore. Many times, many people have thought around and said, okay, if you look at China, if you look at India, all this time, we had people who were doing assembly. For assembly, you just need to know a tool. And I know the time when we were doing work with Patni and most of the IT companies that I was associated with, we had a lot of work that went into maintenance, a lot of work that went into support. It's only towards the later part of 2006, 2005, 2006 that companies world over said, okay, you guys have spent, you've got enough people. Now, can you use your expertise and come and give us something on a fixed price project? And can you engineer solutions for us? And when you talk solutions, that's when engineering comes to the fore. And again, I go back to nano. It was designed based on a need, yes, but it had to be built from scratch. And that you cannot do by knowing how to use a screwdriver or knowing how to use a CRO meter or by knowing how to use Java or .NET. You have to go into basics of fundamental design and you have to look at the entire life cycle from an engineering perspective. And that's exactly what the IEEE program is talking about. Some friends, some of my past associates asked me, is COBOL going to still be around? You'll be surprised, friends, that most of today's applications, more than 50% of today's commercial applications still run on COBOL. I'm sure that must be an eye-opener for you. More importantly, there are still large requirements for mainframe professionals across the globe. So am I saying that you should look at mainframe or COBOL? Not necessarily. But at the same time, there are people in the company that I worked with in Patni, there were senior people who worked with COBOL for more than 15 years. It didn't take them very long to move into new-age technology using rapid application development. Because they had fundamentally sound engineering knowledge in terms of software engineering, principles behind. You will continue to learn. I mean, the other day somebody asked a question, is PHP going to be around? Tomorrow's tools, you're talking about Joomla, you're talking about Ruby. There are plenty of new technologies coming in the fore. So are you going to keep running behind technology? I mean, there's going to be an end. At some point of time, as and when technology keeps changing, you will get it on your desktop. You will have reference material. You will be able to work with that. That's not an issue. The issue is, are you in a position to put all that together and string them up? The world is getting complex. The world is getting very, very complex. And tomorrow's world with nanotechnology and with superconductivity, you will have computing power that today's supercomputer has on the tip of your fingernails. And can you imagine what's going to happen? It's going to change the way that you work. And if you still have programs like certain operating systems that are running today, God help us. Can you imagine flying in a plane which is running on Microsoft Vista? 30,000 feet. You hit a fatal error, what happens? You don't have an option. Not everybody can carry parachutes. So it's important for us to understand the implications and the need. As world gets technologically more and more complex, it requires hugely important engineering disciplines. How many of you would like to go onto a bridge that was built by Microsoft? I'm not a Microsoft basher. I'm only saying is, if you look at coming out with products that are not fundamentally tested, we have problems. And tomorrow's world, when you are going to be part of an industry that's come out with products or solutions, if you're not fundamentally sound in engineering concepts, engineering as in software development lifecycle process, okay, we'll continue to have problems. And tomorrow's world, with India and China moving up, the world is going to be looking towards us to provide those kind of solutions. So that's what we are talking about, and that's what I think the essence of this entire program has been. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Pachpande, who's been here supporting us, Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, Ms. Angela, who's come all the way from the US, from IEEE, to be here with us and share a point. Dilip Tikle, very senior colleague of ours and a very respected person, and distinguished members of the academia who are in the audience, of course, my colleagues and all of you who've taken time out to understand, who've taken time to invest. I hope this investment has been worth it, and I hope that we've been able to give you some insights and some tips in terms of how you can build your career and how you can move forward. With that, I thank you all for being here with us and wish all of you Godspeed and good luck in your careers. Thank you.